Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this beautiful overlap gown with drapes. This dress is perfect for ready to wear collection. Whether you are sewing for yourself or your client, this tutorial will guide you step by step on how to cut and sew this dress. If this is what you're interested in learning, make sure you watch till the end and don't skip any part of this video so you don't miss any important step. I made use of 2.5 years of Duchess fabric. You can use 3 to 4 years depending on how big you are. I was able to get the exact fabric the original creator of this dress used to make this dress. When you're buying your Duchess fabric, you look for the one that have a thick texture. Don't buy those soft ones. So let's go to the cutting table. I'll be drafting the lower part first, and I've gone ahead to put my pattern paper on fold. Please, your pattern paper must be on fold. I'll mark from her waistline to the hip line, which is 9 inches, from waistline to knee line, which is 19.5, and the full length of the gown. To get the full length, you can minus the half length, which is from the shoulder to the waistline. I use 53 for this gown plus ½ inch sewing allowance, so I'll go ahead and rule my lines out. On the waistline, I'll be marking quarter of her round hip measurement. Instead of the round waist, you divide the hip measurement by 4. Her round hip is 40, so you divide it by 4. We place it here, and I will add 1 inch for sewing allowance. That means whatever you mark on the waistline is what I'm going to mark on the hip line. Hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch. I'll connect it. As this video progresses, you understand the reason for that, okay? To mark the round knee, I'll be deducting 8 inches from actual hip measurement. The hip is 40 inches. I'll minus 8 inches. So whatever I get, I'll divide it by 4. I'll mark it and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. This calculation works for all body sizes. So from the knee line, I will rule it straight down the way you see me doing. After that, I will connect it from the knee to the hip line. On the center front, I'll come down by 1 inch and I will slant it the way you see me doing. After that, I'll go ahead and cut my pattern. Before you cut out the front slant, you can use this pattern to cut your back part. There won't be any slits at the back part, so you just go ahead and duplicate this pattern, or you transfer the pattern to your fabric to cut out the back part. So to cut the overlap, I will open up the pattern paper the way you see me doing, and I will rule out the lines that I have on the pattern paper, which is the hip line and the knee line. Okay, let me zoom my camera so that I can get the better view of what I'm doing. To cut the overlap, I'll be coming down by 4.5 inches. So from the hip line, you determine where you want the overlap to start. For me, I use 4.5 inches. So it's from this point that I'll be covering it. I'll be coming in by 5.5 inches. So I'll mark it. I'll rule it straight. On the down part, I will rule out the hemming allowance that I added. After ruling it out, you determine the center front. For me, I can see the line on where I folded it, so I will make a mark on that center front as an indication. On the center front, I will be coming up by 3 inches. From the hemming allowance I added, I came up by 3 inches. That will be the breaking point and where the slit opening will start. So on this center front, I'll be coming in by 2.5 inches. From the breaking point, I'll connect it to the 2.5 inches. To connect the lines, I'll be coming down by 1 inch on this side, and I will curve it. You don't make the line straight, you use curve it. So you watch how I'm curving it. I will curve it to the breaking point. From the breaking point to the 2.5 inches. This is very simple. Can you see what I'm doing? You can just roll it straight to the hem. Let it get to the hem. If you're from hip 42 to 48, you can come in by 7 inches on this line before you curve it. For this my client that have hip 40, I came in by 5.5 inches. If I check what I have from the curve line to the center. I have about 4 inches. If you have a bigger hip, you should be having about 5 to 5.5 inches. I think I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. I came down by 1 inch earlier, so you can make it 1.5 so that the line will not be too curvy. If you check the picture on the thumbnail, you understand. I have 1.5 inches here. I'll go ahead and cut the pattern out. After cutting it out, I'll go ahead and duplicate this pattern. I duplicated this pattern for reference purposes, so I'll keep one aside and use the other for draping. Before I set it aside, I will use it to determine the one that will go to the left and the one that will go to the right. So I will write left, and this will be on the right hand side, so I will write it as an indication. I want this one to be inside, so this one that I'll be using for draping will cover it. For the drape, I'll be using slash and spread method. So from the waistline, I'll be marking 1 inch. I will mark the 1 inch into 4 places. The 1 inch will not get to the hip line, so after that I'll rule the lines out. After ruling the lines out, I will slash it open. Before I slash it open, I will put a plain paper under it, the way you see me doing. This paper I put under is for the slash extension. Just watch closely what I'm doing, you will get it right. So the slash did not get to the hip line. After slashing it open, I will pin it down on this side and on this side. After that, I will spread out the slash. I'll be spreading it out by 1 inch. Depending on how full you want your draping to be, you can do more than 1 inch. I'll first of all pin the first one that I slash. You hold it with a pin. After that, I'll measure 1 inch so that I can pin down the second one. That's what I will do for the rest until I exhaust all the slash. After that, I'll use my masking tape to secure it. Just hold it down the way you see me doing. After taping it down, I'll go ahead and cut it out. I will also secure it down on this side. After that, I will now bring the duplicated pattern. I want to check what I have on this side. I have about 13 inches. I will write it down as an indication. I will also measure what I have on the one I slash open. I have about 18.75. Make sure you write it down so that when you are making your pleat, you know where to stop your pleating. The next thing is to cut the upper parts. I've gone ahead to mark out my basic line. This is the one that I'll be using for the overlap. I have 5 inches for that. I've marked the shoulder width. I've also gone ahead to mark from the shoulder to the chest line, from the shoulder to the underbust. I marked the underbust line because I want to shape the underbust very well so that the dress will be well fitted. From shoulder to the waistline plus ½ inch sewing allowance. On the chest line, I will place 1/4 of a round bust. I'll add ½ inch for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. On the underbust, I will mark 1/4 of the round underbust and I will add 1 inch for sewing allowance. On the waistline, I'll be placing 1/4 of her round hip. The same thing I did on the lower part. You can use the lower part to mark it out. I just fold it into 2 and I place it like so. Our round hip is 40 inches. You divide it by 4. I have 10. I add 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'll connect the lines. On this underbust line, I will come out like so. Don't make it too curvy. Alright, so for the neck width, I mark 3 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch on the shoulder line so that I can connect it to the 3 inches neck width. I will divide the chest line by 2. I'll come in by ½ inch so that I can draw the armhole. For the neck depth, I will come down by 7 inches and I will slant it the way you see me doing. Can you see what I have there? After that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, I went ahead to duplicate it. You duplicate the pattern for reference purposes. After that, I will slash it open on this line that I marked for the overlap. After slashing it open, I will insert paper under it. I also want to use slash and spread method on the upper parts. So after slashing it open, I'll use something to hold it. I want to open it up by 3 inches. I measure 3 inches. After that, I'll use my sellotape to hold it down here. Make sure you maintain a straight line on this side. After that, I will tape it down here. I'll secure it here. It's not a must that you will use 3 inches for the slash and spread. You can use 2 inches if you don't want it to be too full like mine. Can you see what I'm doing? That's how you will hold it down with sellotape. I use a transparent sellotape to hold it down first. After that, you can use a masking tape to secure it further. So let me connect this line, this 3 inches I opened for the plating. After that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, this is what I have. This 3 inches I open it up here is where I will be gathering it. Can you see that? So the next thing now is to cut the back part. I'm gonna ahead to cut the back part. I also have the lower part for the back. You make sure what you have on the waistline of the upper part is what you have on the waistline of the lower part. The same thing I did on the front part. I use 1 inch for the neck depth and 3 inches for the neck width and ½ inch for the neck slant. After that, I'll cut it out. I'm gonna have to place my body measurement. It's the same thing I did on the front part. There's not much different. The next thing is to transfer my pattern to the fabric, and I will be starting with the lower part. The side I cut for the overlap will be facing this direction. As you can see, I'm starting with the one that have slash and spread, so I will use the one that I kept for reference purposes to match it. The one I told you that it will be inside. Can you see? When you are cutting the one without slash and spread, that's the one that will be inside. You place it like so. The side that have overlap is facing me. So I've gone ahead to cut it out. I added ½ inch on the waistline and ½ inch on the overlap side. I did not add on the side because I've added it when I was drafting my pattern. Can you see? I will place the one that doesn't have slash and spread on the inside for you to see. This is what you have when you are done. I've also gone ahead to cut the upper part. I added ½ inch on the armhole, on the shoulder, and on this side. I placed it on fold when I was cutting it so that I can cut two for the two side fronts. This is my back part. I also added my ½ inch. Can you see what I have for the upper and the lower parts? You add your necessary sewing allowances of ½ inch. For the front part, I'll be using bias to turn the neckline. I will open up my bias like so. I will sew with ½ inch. After sewing it, I'll turn it and top stitch on it. After that, this is what you have. I'm gonna ahead to turn it with bias for the both side of the front. The next thing is to gather it. You can use a tiny pleat to pleat it, but for me, I'll be gathering it. So what I will do is to use this one that I cut out. I misplaced the one I kept for reference purposes, so I'll just tape it back. After that, you measure what you have there so that you can know where to stop your pleating. For me, what I did is to measure 8 inches. So I'll go and make a gathered stitch up to that 8 inches for the both side of the front. This is what I have when I was done sewing it. I started sewing from here. So I'll measure it for you to confirm. I have 8 inches here. So what I will do is to pull the gathers. I'll also do the same thing for the other side. After pulling the gathers, I'll make sure I have about 4.5 inches. You know, I have used half inch to turn the neckline of the front part with a bias. So you confirm what you have left, whether it's up to quarter of your round hip. You know, we place round hip measurement on the waistline. After making sure that it's equal, I will bring the other side of the front. I've also done the same thing there. I'll place it together. That's, I will overlap it the way you see me doing. After that, I will measure what I use for the overlap, which is 5 inches. I've used half inch to turn the neckline of the front. I'm left with 4.5, so I marked it. After marking it, I will overlap it like so. Make sure it's matched. Can you see what I'm doing here? I believe most of us can do this step. So after overlapping it, I will measure the total of what I have, which is my round hip plus sewing allowance. After confirming it, you go and stitch it down to secure it. Please remember to place the overlap accordingly. You determine the part that will be going to the left side. Just check the picture of what you are recreating to know how to place the overlap. After stitching it down, I'll go ahead and gather the lower part. So I have my lower part here. You can add your pleat this way. If you want to use pleating, you just make like 3 pleating or 4. You can just be creative with the pleating. If you want to slant it, you can just go ahead and do whatever you want. Can you see what I'm doing? For me, I won't be using this method. I want to do the method they use on the orange color dress. So from the top part, I will come down by 10 inches. Because I want my gathers to be facing up, I will start sewing from this side. I will do the same thing on the other side. Please sew with a gather stitch. So I've gone ahead to gather it. I start sewing from this side because I want my pleat to be facing up this way. Don't start your sewing from the top part, otherwise your pleat will be facing down. So I'll go ahead and gather it the way you see me doing. Just arrange your gathers the way you see me doing. Please, I will advise before you start gathering it, you can go ahead and weave your fabric both for the down and lower part. You also weave the overlap part. Can you see how I'm doing it? The gathers is forming already. Before I secure it down with a stitch, I'll measure what I have here, whether it's up to the other one that doesn't have slash and spread. You just match it together, whether you have the same thing. As you can see, I have the same thing. After confirming that, I'll go ahead and stitch it down. Make sure that your pleating is facing upwards. You can iron it down if you want. Just iron it down so that when you are stitching it down, it will be easier for you. Make sure you watch till the end so that you can see how the back part looks like. After that, the next thing is to join the both sides of the front together. So the one that will be inside, I will place it down first and I will use this one to overlap it. Can you see what I have? Make sure you arrange your pleat very well. I will use a pin to hold both pieces together before I sew it down. Can you see how I am arranging it? After sewing it, I'll go and hold it down on the both sides. I'm gonna ahead to do that. Can you see what I have? Please make sure you weave it before sewing it together. Weaving all the pieces separately is very important before sewing it together. I won't be folding the hem. I'll be using foreign weaving outside, and inside I will use local weaving. After that, the next thing is to join the upper and the lower part together. So this is my upper part. I'll go and sew it down with 1/2 inch. When you want to sew it, you fold it together and notch the middle. You also do the same thing on the lower part. Fold it and notch the middle. After notching the middle, you match the both notch together and you pin it down. After pinning it down, I'll go and sew it down. I'll also repeat the same thing on the back part. This is what I have after sewing it down. Can you see that? I will open up the seam and iron it down properly. So this is my back part. I've also done the same thing. As you can see, I've opened up the seam and press it down. Please, it's very important you weave the waistline. Weave it because we'll be using elastic thread to gather the waistline. There's no zipper at the back. That's why I use the hip measurement on the waistline. So I'll be using elastic thread to gather it. What I will do is to put my elastic thread on the reeler. You now put it on your bobbin casing. So to sew it, you'll be sewing from the right side. So I'll come in by 1 inch and I will start gathering it. You bring down your gather stitches. I believe that most of us can use elastic thread to sew. Make sure you use a matching color of the elastic to sew. After sewing it, this is what you should be having. It's the same thing with the one on the thumbnail. Can you see how the back looks like? The dress is looking very beautiful. Please make sure you weave the waistline before making your gathers. Can you see the inside is looking very neat? The next thing I'll be doing is to join the front and back together. I'll place the back and front right side to right side. I'll use 1 inch to sew it. Please remember to shape the underbust, and for the shoulder, you make sure you leave the 1/2 inch for the back part. You know, I've used 1/2 inch to turn the neckline of the front, so you leave the 1/2 inch that you'll be using to sew the collar. When you are shaping the waistline, you make sure you stretch the gathers out, stretch it out to match with the front part, then you pin. So I'll follow the shape of the underbust to close it. So you use 1 inch to sew it. I'll make sure I pin it down. I will be attaching a zipper on this side. You can create a hole before shaping it, but for me, I will shape everything after I open it up. So this is the outcome. Can you see it came out looking really beautiful? Can you see the back part? The next thing I'll do is to use my seam ripper to open up the left side that I'll be attaching my invisible zipper. So what you will do is to come down by 1.5 inches from the armhole. Before you install your zipper, you make sure you pass stitch on the armhole side and where your zipper will stop. So from the waistline, I came down by 9 inches. That's where my zipper will stop. After that, you place it. Use your pin to pin it down before stitching down your zipper. You arrange it and sew your zipper down. After sewing it, this is what you will have. Can you see that? So what I will do now is to fold in the excess zipper. You first of all cut it out and leave like 1/2 inch or 1 inch. You now fold it in and stitch on it, top stitch on it. You can use any method to do this. After stitching down the excess zipper, you now bring the zipper head to the right side and back stitch. Make sure you sew it very well so that it will look neat. This is what I have for the back part. I'll go ahead and measure the width of the back neckline so that I can use it to cut out my collar. When I measured it, I got about 7 inches. I will attach a picture on the screen so that you see how the back collar looks like. I have my pattern paper here. The width is 9 inches and the pattern is on fold. So from the folded edge, I will measure the neck width. I got 7 inches when I measured it. So you divide the 7 inches by 2. I have 3.5. So I will add 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. I'll mark it. I will come down by 1.5 inches and I will curve the neckline. This will serve as the back neck width. You curve it the way you see me doing. So on the width of this pattern, I will be coming down by 1.5 inches also. This side 1.5 inches, and I will slant it the way you see me doing. I told you that the width I have on this pattern is 9 inches. So on the folded edge where I came down by 1.5 inches, I will determine the height of my collar. I use 4 inches for that. So from that 4 inches, I will connect it to the width of the collar. Can you see what I'm doing? This is how you curve your collar. After that, you go ahead and cut it out. After cutting it out, I will measure it for you to see what I have. I have 4 inches. On the middle part, I also have 4 inches. So you make sure that your collar is equal, both at the end. So I'm going to have to transfer the pattern to the fabric. I have the total of 8 inches on the neck width. You know, my back neck width, I measured is 7 inches. I added ½ inch on the pattern for sewing allowance. That's why I have 8 inches here. I only added ½ inch on this part and on the neck side. I did not add on the both edge. So I've ironed my A-stay on one of it and soft gum stay on the other one. I will use a pin to pin it down. After that, I'll go and sew it like so, and I'll also sew the both edge. After sewing it, this is what I have. I left ½ inch that I was using to attach it on the neckline, and I folded the other ½ inch in. So I'll go and sew it down. After sewing it down, I'll use the part that I folded to top stitch on it. I believe that most of us can attach a neck collar. You just follow that process and do that. As you can see, I notch it and I trim out the excess sewing allowance. I fold in the same allowance and I go ahead and top stitch on it. This is what you have when you are done. For the slipper, I'll just explain how you go about it. So what I did is that I measured that 1 inch for the pop sleeve. I want to be gathering it a little. So from that 1 inch, I measured down 3 inches for the cap height. On the cap height, I placed my round armhole plus 1.5 inches for ease allowance. So from the cap height, I measured down 25 inches for the length of the sleeve and added 1 inch for folding. Making this bogus sleeve is not hard, so I'm gonna have to pleat the pop sleeve. I just pleated it a little and I folded the hem of the sleeve. So I'll measure the length. I'll measure the length of 22 inches. So on that 22 inches is where I'll be using my elastic thread to gather it. So I'll mark it. So let me measure what I have here. I have about 6 inches. So I will rule a straight line like so. So I will now go and form the gathers on the straight line. This is the outcome of the collar that I attached. Can you see the neat finishing? And this is how the back part looks like. Thanks for watching. Bye.